Welcome to Barebones Camera, where we share the ins and outs of cinematography, breaking down real setups and taking you behind the scenes on professional film shoots. Today's show is sponsored by KINEFINITY, Movcam, and Atlas Lens Company. Hey everyone, my name is Leigh Lisbão Underwood, and I'm the cinematographer of the short film Flight. Today I'll be chatting about shooting the film in Anamorphic on the KINEFINITY MAVO LF with Atlas Orion lenses. With a behind-the-scenes look at our production in the country of Armenia, I'll talk about how the anamorphic look, combined with the large sensor of the camera, worked in a unique way to tell this story for the big screen. Flight is a short film written and directed by Victoria Alexanian, and it centers around a woman who is deported from where she is living in Europe back to her home country. It takes place on a commercial airplane, in a European airport, and in Yerevan, the capital city of Armenia. The production presented lots of challenges: a tight budget, the need to use Armenian locations as stand-ins for European ones, and the challenge of filming in an airplane.
Action!
The airport scenes in particular required a creative use of a stand-in location. Right away, it was clear to us that we needed to develop a visual style that would help us achieve this movie magic. So early on in my discussions with Victoria, we agreed that the anamorphic look would be a key to telling the story in a cinematic way, as well as helping to creatively address some of these issues. Cinema anamorphic lenses use optics to squeeze a very wide image, usually by a factor of 2, onto the image plane of the camera. The image is then de-squeezed in post. Anamorphic images have some really unique characteristics. Out-of-focus areas of the image have a vertically stretched, very surreal quality. The geometry of shapes and faces are sometimes distorted, especially near the frame edges and on wider lenses. And points of light tend to create horizontal flare lines. Although these are technically flaws, many cinematographers, myself absolutely included, love using them to create more painterly images, especially in the digital format, which is very sharp. In Flight, the anamorphic look helped us to tell the story in a number of ways. The surreal bokeh allows the surroundings to fall away and draws the audience into the headspace of the protagonist, which helps us identify with her more closely. The wide image of CinemaScope, paired with more telephoto lenses, would limit how much we see the environment, helping to sell stand-in locations. And even some slight image distortion, where image corners are softer and darker, would help us take the focus away from the surroundings and pull the viewer into the story. So in pre-production, we got in touch with both KINEFINITY and Atlas Lens Company, who both generously supported us with an affordable rental, and their MAVO LF and Orion lenses turned out to be a really great match for this project. The MAVO LF is an impressively compact cinema camera, which shoots up to 6K in ProRes and Cinema DNG with a full-frame sensor, and offers a PL mount as well as other mounts. From some of my tests, it also seems to have very impressive low-light capabilities. The Orions are modern lenses and much more affordable than most cinema anamorphic lenses available today. They offer many of the typical anamorphic characteristics that we wanted for the project, like beautiful bokeh and pleasing but controlled distortion. Visually, they're a really good middle ground between modern clean lenses and vintage lenses with a more extreme look. They have a strong blue horizontal flare, which is reminiscent of many wonderful lenses from Panavision, although for this film we decided to avoid highlight flares for the most part. The modern design is relatively small for anamorphic lenses and allows the use of a standard 4x5 matte box and wireless focus motors. We paired them with Movcam's MFF2 wireless focus control, which is a nice solution with lots of potential, although the control unit's software was still in beta when we used it. Although the Orions opened to T2, I found them a bit too soft wide open for the look we were going for, so I stopped down to 2.8.5 or T4. This was actually a nice T-stop to work at because the anamorphic depth of field and bokeh is still very present, and the MAVO LF's sensitivity could also compensate for less light. The Orions are designed to cover a Super 35 4x3 sensor to achieve a 266 or 239 aspect ratio when de-squeezed. We shot primarily in the MAVO Super 35 6x5 anamorphic mode, which is a bit taller and narrower, and is designed to de-squeeze to the 2:3:9 aspect ratio, while offering a really ideal 4096 pixel wide resolution. But the MAVO LF actually has a bigger full-frame sensor, and in my tests I discovered that the 65 and 100mm lengths actually do cover the full-frame anamorphic mode of the LF, with only a small amount of vignetting and reduction in sharpness. For some shots, this was actually perfect because it offered some additional softness and distortion around the edges of the frame, and it had a more pronounced effect of pulling the viewer into the middle of the frame. Since these two focal lengths are more telephoto, they represent space in a more limited but also very visually pleasing way, which helped us a lot to convincingly sell some of our locations, like passport control in an Armenian airport and the departure terminal in a European airport. Atlas also offers a 1.5x extender, which changes the effective focal length of each lens and fully covers the full-frame sensor of the LF at the cost of some light loss. We had one with us on set, but I found that I preferred sticking with the Super 35 mode for simplicity's sake and to take advantage of those outer limits of the lenses. We did make use of diopter filters to allow closer focus than the lens's minimum, which is very common when shooting anamorphic. But even so, the close focus on the Orion seemed to be better than some anamorphics I've worked with in the past. I also often use pro mist filters in front of the lens, which reduces the contrast and also softens the highlights and skin tones a bit. Thanks for watching! Stay tuned for the next episode, where I'll talk more about flight and specifically about our lighting approach. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to catch that, as well as more behind-the-scenes looks at cinematography and filmmaking technology on set. Thanks again to our sponsors, KINEFINITY, Movcam, and Atlas Lens Company. This is Barebones Camera, signing off.